Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Hijinx Vintage 87 Cup Series here in the G4 Simming League. This is going to be a blast for these drivers. It's the 87 cars here at Pocono, and my name is Sam Dyer. With me is Anthony McCreary. And Anthony, these 87 cars are going to be having a little bit of a different run here. They're at Pocono, the Tricky Triangle in the old legacy track, so it's going to be a lot bumpier than what our modern day cars are usually racing on.
It's a pre-paved race circuit, a lot of bumps in the turns. All three of these turns here are different in some way. The fast turn 1, the fast but much tighter turn 2, and the almost flat turn 3. It's going to be fun to see these drivers handle it on these cars, which the old 87 cars are a little bit looser than the cars that we run in modern day NASCAR. It's going to be fun to watch them navigate this track. And we have 80 laps of racing here tonight, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun one for sure. We've got a total of, I believe, 9 drivers at the ready for this race as they're coming around on this pace lap. We're going to take a quick look at the grid. Hank Steinmiller getting the pole here with John Whitendorf second. And coming down to second row, we've got Jeff Green, Christopher Morris Jr. In the third row, you've got Dallas Myhan and others. And I'm just excited to see these drivers running this course. Pocono is always, it's got the name, the Tricky Triangle. Every single corner is completely different from the rest. But these drivers are going to be more of a strategy race just based off of how practice was going. Anthony, it didn't look like any of the drivers were really having issues. They were all pretty stable out there.
Yeah, everyone seemed to be having an okay time with this racetrack. It's a bit of a challenging racetrack. It's kind of like driving a road course, but you only turn left with all the turns being different. So strategy is going to come into play. You also have to balance your tire wear, as we are on the old surface. Tire wear is going to be a lot more critical than it would be if we were on the paved circuit. All around, it's going to be a long race full of strategy, and I would assume that the race is going to be won on strategy rather than all-out pace.
These drivers are excited to run 80 laps here today. We'll see how the strategy goes. It's coming to the line. It's going to be Whitendorf leading the charge on the outside. And man, that 33 car ready to go. As also running on the inside, that's going to be the 3 of Christopher Morris Jr. That was Dallas Myhan, the 41, who we've been missing for a bit. Oh no! Steinmiller gets a little loose.
And he goes around. He's going to maybe save it. He does. He saves it on the grass a little bit, but he's got that car pointed in the right direction. Heading down, we have another car that's been back there. That was Randy in the 11 car. He spun around in the first turn as well. He's gotten that car back going forward, but so far it looks like everyone's getting through the second turn okay. We're still green.
The 11 of Randy Koken, you saw there, had a lot more damage than what the 63 of Steinmiller does. Steinmiller kind of hoping for a yellow to come out here, but for right now, it's John Whitendorf almost up to a second lead over Jeff Green. And a couple of these drivers really looking for their first win of the season. Jeff Green, Dallas Myhan, Tyler Riggs. We've got a lot of hungry drivers here today. 10 drivers making the green. It's in the back. You saw it. That's Randy Koken completely looping it out of 3 and still stuck there. No yellow just yet, as we'll see if the 11 can get back going, and we'll teleport to pit road. Man, that was a massive hit for the 11 as racing up front. Dallas Myhan now trying to make a move here on Gerald Campbell.
He's got to run down into turn 2. It looks like he's going to try and make a move. Actually thinks better of it. Going to fall back into second place. But Randy Koken, a horrible incident that happened on the turn 3. He did get a little loose, went up into the wall, and unfortunately that car might be a while before it comes back on track. There was a lot of damage done. I'd also like to point out that Tyler Riggs is in one heck of a battle right now between him, Christopher Morse Jr., and Jake Hounshell. Those 3 are battling it out, and back up at the front of them, Dallas Myhan's going to have another run on Campbell.
And here is also Jeff Green trying to make a move on our leader here, Whitendorf, really at the mercy of the 10 machine when we're down this long front stretch. It's probably the best part to make a pass just because you get the draft and to tow into turn number 1.
one of the longest stretches in the circuit. It's going to be, like you said, the place to make passes as it is a fast turn one. Back there, we got a couple of drivers in a 3-wide situation. It's Christopher Morse, Jake Houndshell, and Tyler Riggs. Looks like they're going to settle it back out to 2 wide going into turn 2. That could have been 3 wide in there, and it's a little bit too early, I think, to be making those kind of bold moves.
Yeah, these drivers really don't want to be side-by-side into turn number 2. It's not a safe place to be side-by-side, as it's quick, it's fast. But, everywhere else, it's pretty easy to be side-by-side, but the winner and the victor of that will be Jake Houndshell moving forward as that battle for third place.
Whoa!
Oh, no, Riggs goes and loops it around.
Riggs gets loose out of turn 3. He's going to park it on the front stretch. No yellow yet. Yellow is out. We are officially under yellow.
Tyler Riggs out of 3. He was close to Houndshell and just loops it out of turn number 3 as he was getting closer and closer to that 83 machine's back bumper.
And somebody who is really excited to see that yellow come out is Randy Koking. He's the bleeding's going to stop a little bit for that 11 team, and he's going to be able to not make. I don't think he'll get his laps back, but he'll be able to at least be back up with the field and have a potential to get those laps back.
Yeah, here in the 87 series, these drivers are using most of the 87 rule set. The one rule that they have changed, though, is that the lucky dog is something utilized here, as you'll see from the back bumper of Houndshell. Riggs just loops it around, come out of 3, and that's just because he got on the throttle just a little bit too soon compared to other drivers.
It's really easy to spin at this track, especially with how the old surface is and these tires. You got to be careful. If you put power down too early, as we saw with Riggs, it'll loop it around, and you'll be looking at the wrong end of the racetrack.
And these drivers now getting set for possible pit stops here. And these drivers are going to be really trying to figure out when to come into the pits. It's 80 laps. I mean, if we stay green, as we saw multiple drivers having issues coming out of turn number 1 and out of turn number 3, an early caution here at Pocono that really we've had a sense that it was coming just because of the struggles some of these drivers were having.
Yeah, a lot of these drivers were having a lot of problems with how loose their car was, and Randy Koking was one of the first that had experienced problems. And at the start of the race, you saw Hank Steinmiller. I believe he also had an issue where he almost looped it around, and now Tyler Riggs is the latest. And I would think I would come down for tires. It seems like the tire wear is going to be the biggest factor in this race, and if you have fresh rubber, then it might mitigate that issue of having your car snap loose on you at the exit of turns. It doesn't seem like going into turns at speed is okay, because I've noticed that after the start of the race, going into turn 1 at full race pace didn't seem to be as bad as on, say, a start or a restart when you're not running as fast as you would be. But I would assume that we're going to see a lot of drivers come down pit road, and here they come.
Here they come down pit road. We'll see where the drivers try to lay, as I believe that's Dallas Myhan deciding otherwise, and will be staying out in the 41. Everyone else deciding to come into the pits.
Dallas Myhan with a interesting strategy. I mean, he might be betting on another yellow. If fresh tires for this loose, then maybe he's going to get lucky and get some of these drivers caught out with some fresh tires again. Everyone into the pit road. Looks like it's going to be a 4-tire stop for some of these drivers. Maybe some 2-tire strategy. We'll have to see.
Only driver that had an issue, as you saw it on our screen, was the car in the back. That's Tyler Riggs. Overshot his pit stall, had to back up in that 26 machine. We'll see how much time he loses there. As drivers are taking off, Gerald Campbell first out in that 31 machine. A beautiful stop by the 31.
That was a lightning fast stop by that 31 team, and he's going to be loving that. He's going to come out in second place position to the leader, and we got to look at his restart. It's going to be really close, I think. I don't know how much new tires versus old tires. I mean, these tires really aren't that old. They're only 5-lap old, 6-lap old tires at this moment. I wonder how much of a difference that's going to make on this racetrack.
I would imagine it's going to make a major difference. I mean, these drivers, they're quick. These corners are quite aggressive on tire wear. It's not as bad as it was last week at Dover, but still, even having a 5-lap advantage, I think 5 laps, you might be able to still work with it, but with these 87 cars, you're slipping and sliding so much that tire wear is very important as we go on with this race.
It's going to be, as we said at the top of the program, a battle of attrition, and these drivers are going to have to learn to struggle with the changing track conditions, and especially once there's a racing groove set in, I think it would be a lot easier to get around these turns. But I've been kind of surprised by how loose these cars are. I noticed in practice that a few cars were running a bit looser, but they weren't all running excessively loose. Some of these drivers have opted for a much faster setup, and to get around these turns, as we mentioned, all three turns are different. So you kind of have to balance the car to handle all of them, and I think that they're setting up mostly for turn 3 in order to get the maximum amount of run down the front stretch. Because if you get a nice rundown, you can easily top 210 if you're in the right setup. And then with a track this long, and these are some long lap times, we're seeing 59.4s and even as slow as 1 minute lap times. You know, it's you just have to find a balance, and maybe it's going to catch out some of these drivers.
Well, to wait and see as the pace car lights are off. We'll be going this time by, and usually when you're making a setup here at Pocono, it's all about pick a corner that you feel like is most important, that you need to get right, and then move it forward. Usually drivers are picking either corner number 2 or 3 as that corner to worry about, just because of how much banking there is in corner number 1. If you would just for that, you're really going to be off compared to the rest of the corners, just because of how much banking difference there is from 1 compared to corner number 2 and 3.
Right, and if you get it wrong, then you're going to have a struggle throughout the other 2 corners. It's a unique track in the sense that there's only 2 of them, and we're about ready to go back to green flag racing. Pace car is going to be in this lap. We have an issue with Jeff Green. He seems to be blinking in and out of the session. Hopefully he gets that resolved. He'll line up in the 3rd place position, but Dallas Myhan, Jared Campbell will be 1st and 2nd, and then 4th through 5th will be John Weitendorf and Jake Hounshell.
Now remember, these drivers are in the 87 rule set, so single file restarts here. As the pace car rolls off, the drivers getting set to go. We'll see who wants to be aggressive here on the restarts and try to make a pass right when they cross the line. As green flag in the air, and all the action really is back. Here's Weitendorf throwing his car to the inside, as well as Steinmiller.
Weitendorf and Green, Campbell, they're 3 wide going into turn 1. Looks like the Dallas Myhan's got a heck of a run into turn 1. Wow, it looks like Campbell sends it straight into turn 1 through the middle of the racetrack. He's going to get the advantage, but Jeff Green is trying to battle his way past Weitendorf. Looks like he's going to get it done in the exit of 1.
And right now, Dallas Myhan's hoping for them to stay side by side, but with seeing Gerald Campbell breaking free, you're seeing the difference there in the tires. The 31 car's already on the back bumper of the 41.
He didn't really get much of a jump. He got a big jump at the start, but it's closed up, and by the end of the lap, and here he goes for the lead. Campbell to the inside into turn 3. Myhan powerless to do anything to stop him. Those fresh tires definitely the way to go.
They really are. Gerald Campbell slides it around, able to save it though, as that is a very risky move as the drivers are coming down the front stretch.
This isn't Formula Drift, guys. You can't be doing that too much. And it looks like that Weitendorf's going to try to make a move by Myhan. Myhan has just not got the pace right now. Jeff Green, he's got to get around Jeff Green. He's going to send it into turn 1. No, but Jeff Green's looking for the lead. He almost tags the back end of Campbell. And these drivers are loose.
Yeah, there was a little bit of contact as more contact made. Jeff Green, now the pinball in the middle of all the action, and somehow they all stay straight. I don't know how that 10 machine saved that machine after all the contact that was there. Jeff Green, lucky to still be running, as well as Gerald Campbell.
And he doesn't look like he's got any damage on that car. These cars are extremely tough, so he might be able to power his way back up towards the front. We have not seen the end of Jeff Green. You know he's going to be hungry after that. That was one wicked save.
And Jeff Green's one of those drivers where he'll be nice until you aggravate him, and then he'll start racing more aggressive than any other driver out here. We know he's quick, hasn't gotten a win yet this season, looking for that first win. We'll see whenever he can get that, as right now, Weitendorf in the lead and trying to continue to hold off, as Dallas Myhan, yes, he's on the older tires, but still doing a decent job of staying with the 33.
We thought that he was down and out, but it turns out that he just needed to have those tires heated back up, and he's now going thing. The 83 got really loose in the turn one.
I thought he was going to overcorrect and dump it into the outside. Well, able to save it is Jake Houndshell, and he'll be continuing to push forward. Now, Houndshell, our winner last week at Dover, he's looking to continue that pace, as right now he's second in the points behind the 3 of Christopher Morse Jr., who has 2 wins as well, in front of him on the track at the moment, as the 3 is running 5th place.
Morse Jr. he had a good run at Dover as well, and he's going to look to continue that good luck into this race. And he's trying to get around. He's running the 5th position, but he is faster than the 2 cars in front of him, that being Steinmiller and Campbell. If he can get a run, which it looks like he might going to have a run down the front stretch, if he can put it into turn 1 and maybe not send it so quickly. I think some of these drivers are carrying too much speed, and they're thinking that they have the aero to do it, but these older cars don't have as much aerodynamics as the newer cars do, so you can't throw it into turns as quickly as you'd want to. Looks like that up front of them, though, Steinmiller's looking for Campbell down into turn 2.
Yeah, Campbell is doing everything he can to try to hold off this 63 machine, but here comes Steinmiller right on the back quarter panel, trying to figure out where to make that pass, as he's coming in quick, but just not there through turn number 2.
He had to get off the gas a little bit. He's actually got a completely different line. It looks like he was focusing more on exit rather than entry, and it's going to set him up nicely for turn 3. He looks like he's going to back off, maybe put the power down a little bit earlier than Campbell. He might be looking for a run down the front stretch. Campbell got loose. He tried to put too much power down, and now for sure Steinmiller's going to have him into 1.
Steinmiller right on the back bumper, trying to utilize this draft. These drivers are screaming quick down here, as behind them, they're 3 wide possibly, as there's side-by-side action between the 10 as well as the 83 back for 6th place, as this racing is still chaotic up front for this 3rd place battle.
Yeah, this 3rd place battle is not going to go away anytime soon. It's now turning into almost a battle for 2nd, as Dallas Mahan is falling backwards. Those tires just not being able to keep the pace of Whitendorf anymore. And now it's a 4-way battle for the 2nd place position. It looks like, oh, wow, Mahan checked up a lot of there. No, Campbell around. No, he saved it.
Again, these drivers are incredible in the fact the way they're able to save these machines. Campbell has been loose since the drop of this last green flag, and that 31 machine still cruising along. But right now, Dallas Mahan is in the clutches of the drivers that have fresher tires than him, as he continues in that 41 machine to run 2nd, but here comes Steinmiller.
I think Mahan got a piece of the wall coming out of 3, and that's going to allow Steinmiller to pass him before they get into turn 1. Will Morse Jr. have a look? No, he's going to think about later on in the race, but that 41 car is definitely having a bit of a struggle right now.
Campbell's back. He's getting under the 3 machine, pushing him up, getting him close to the wall, as Gerald Campbell now trying to block and will do so to try to use that the 41 machine kind of as a pick, and does it beautifully entering turn number 2.
He's going to try to go for Mahan as well as he slides across, but that's going to open the door for Morse on the inside. Here comes the 3 back to battle going into turn 3. Looks like that the 3 car is going to get the 5th place or the 4th place position in turn 3.
Thought maybe Campbell would think about activating that crossover move, thinks otherwise. That 31 machine continues to just have that early diamond type of apex, trying to get a better exit out of 3, and it's losing them time.
They're definitely taking some interesting lines through these turns. These cars are set up an interesting way that they're trying to maybe arc it in, like you said, in a diamond pattern instead of driving it down on the bottom of the racetrack. You thought they would at the 31. Whoa!
What's crazy is that all 3 drivers you saw there, the 41, the 3, and the 31, all drifted through turn number 1. It's just the fact that Gerald Campbell just put in a little bit too much wheel into it and almost looped it around.
And as Campbell has another amazing save, Morse is going for the 3rd place position over Dallas Mahan. He's going to take it. Now he's going to try and clear him into turn 3, but that's going to bring Campbell back up, who is, despite all of his near spins, still within the 3rd place position. It looks like he's going to have a better run through turn 3, trying to arc it out for the front stretch. Looks like it might be a 3-way battle into turn 1.
I'm questioning how much pace would Gerald Campbell have if he wasn't completely losing it out of some of these corners, because this 31 machine is wicked quick. As we're looking at the drivers up front, our top 5 are looking like they're pulling away from Houndshell, Green, and Riggs. And Houndshell really can't be losing any time. He's second in points to Christopher Morse Jr. There's no playoffs for this series. It's all about how the points are going to run throughout the season. And right now, Christopher Morse Jr. set up to have a gain in his points as third in points. Blaine Atkins did not make today's race. It's Gerald Campbell getting under the 41.
He's going to try and set it in, and it looks like they're both looping it. Wow! It's like it's going to...
as fans, you might be thinking we're watching dirt track racing based on how they just went through corner number 2 there.
Dirt track racing on a 2.5 mile circuit. This has been incredible, and so far we've only had a couple of drivers spin around. You would have thought that these drivers would have binned it long before that, and one of them does back there. I think that was Riggs again. He spun again.
He did, out of 3, and since he was down near the pit entry, that's not going to be bringing out a caution. As here comes Eric Schaefer, going to be passing in the 5 machine, past the 26. Tyler Riggs continues his struggles.
And Tyler Riggs is going to be back on the track. No yellow flag. We're still under green. I think we also need to mention that Randy Koking has actually gone out of this race. I don't see him on the racetrack, and he is not on pit road. He might have disconnected. I don't think that car's running anymore.
Yeah, the 11 officially out of this. Also, Ron Hollifield was scheduled to race today, was not able to grid up. That 90 machine did not race, as we're seeing the battle here for 6th place. Jeff Green getting by Jake Houndshell here in the 10 as they're drifting it through corner number 3 here.
Wow, these guys are battling hard, and we're only on lap 16, coming to 17 for these two, and wow, it was right up on the bumper. Now the 83 is going to have a run down into turn 1. These two are dogfighting right now, and they are not letting each other leave each other's sides into turn 1. Looks like it's going to be Houndshell.
I mean, it's hard to tell as the outside, they're both going to be drifting around. Here comes Houndshell drifting up a little bit. Able to hold on, though. But can they keep it off exit?
It looks like they keep it clear of each other. They're going to be side by side going down the long stretch into turn 2, rather. And Houndshell, again, I think has got it clear this time.
And he does. These guys are just, we were concerned. It's a smaller field, but even with a small field, you can get some great racing action based on how these drivers are just showing off their racing skills. This is beautiful racing by these drivers. We are, though, as this battle is going on for 6th place, and we'll continue to watch, that battle for 1st is slowly getting closer and closer. Steinmiller's catching up as Dallas Myhan gets loose out of 3.
Man, he got really loose. There's some back end damage on that car now. He might have got a piece of the wall. He's now falling backwards, and I wouldn't be surprised if Houndshell and Green, even though that they're in a bit of a dogfight at the moment, I wouldn't be surprised if they catch them just on pace alone. Remember, Dallas Myhan didn't come down pit road the last time. He's on much older tire. There looks to be a considerable amount of damage on the back end of that 41 machine. So that's definitely going to be hurting him in the way of cornering speed. We have to keep an eye on him and see if he maybe get a lucky break, maybe get another yellow, come down and fix some of that damage. Oh, and there goes Jeff Green trying to pass Houndshell, and he does.
They're just swapping back and forth. Luckily, it's been quick passes, but, I mean, the more that they stay battling like this, the more they're going to be losing time on our leaders. And once again, side by side through corner number 3. And these guys just want to put on a show, it seems like. But they got to be careful of that wall. Jeff Green almost brushing it.
He almost did. I think he might have gotten a little tiny piece of it. Give that position back to Houndshell. This 6th place position is going to be fought for the foreseeable future, I would think, until the next pit stop cycle. So far, Jeff Green's going to concede the position away to Houndshell, and so far, so good. No one's, other than Tyler Riggs, no one else has spun it around.
I mean, Gerald Campbell probably is the next person who could possibly be spinning that thing around, as these drivers have been out there on track for 13 laps on these tires and fuel, except for Dallas Myhan. He's been out there for 19. That driver is going to be thinking about coming to the pits here probably in the next 15 to 20 laps or so. Possibly could be turning this into a 1-stopper, or he also could be thinking about a 2-stop and coming in during lap number 30 or 25.
And that would put them in, I believe, being able to make it the rest of the race on 2 stops if everything goes well. That also depends on if the tires are going to fall off between now and then. I don't know if fuel is going to fall out first or if tires are going to fall out first. It definitely seems like it would be tires.
Yeah, based on the slipping and sliding we've been watching, the tires look like they would be the first thing to go. As we're back to watching this battle for 6th place, it's the closest battle so far. This battle's going on as well as it looks like back in 8th place. Tyler Riggs getting close to the 5 of Eric Schaefer, and Schaefer had a shocker of a top finish last week at Dover, and that 5 machine showed as long as you stay in the fight, there's a chance to have a great finish. But right now, back in 8th place and battling with Tyler Riggs.
And because of the small field size tonight's race, everyone's pretty much guaranteed.
Oh, Schaefer! Woo! Almost taking out Riggs there as the 5 car, able to get that thing fired back up, but spinning it around turn number 2. That was a shocker for the driver of Tyler Riggs. As we're moving up for the battle for 1st place, Steinmiller is gaining on Whitendorf.
Yeah, and everyone's kind of spread out into their own little race right now, except for the 6th place position, which is continuing to be battled for. But it seems like everyone's trying to get into a bit of a run, but Steinmiller is definitely catching Whitendorf, and I wouldn't be surprised, but by before the next cycle of pit stops that we could see a new leader. I'd also like to point out, we're not under yellow from that incident that would happen at the back of the pack. No real debris on the racetrack, so it looks like that we're going to stay green.
Staying green and coming to 59 laps to go. Steinmiller has been waiting all season long to possibly get his win, his first win of the season, because this 63 machine has been quick all season long and just has been simple mistakes of a penalty here or there or caught up into an accident. But right now, Steinmiller's looking for a chance here to get a win, but he's got to beat Whitendorf right now. Whitendorf has 1 win this season that was back at Talladega, and this 33 machine looking poised to possibly get another win as being up front. This 33 machine is quick.
If he can stay consistent and stay in clean air, I wouldn't be surprised if we see him at the end of the race taking the checkered flag first. But he's got to hold off the charging 63 car. Back in the...
Dallas, my hand almost losing it.
Yeah, I was about to say back in the now battle for the 5th position rather than just the 6th position. It's a 3-way battle now between My Hand, Houndshell, and Green. And what was the car that's won?
Full contact between Dallas, My Hand, and Campbell. No yellow flag just yet. The 33 car still stopped in the middle of the track. Get going now. But what a ride that 33 machine went on.
I cannot believe they didn't throw a yellow for that.
I mean, he went through the grass, which, since that's off the racing surface, it wouldn't bring out a caution. But when he drifted back up, you think that a caution would come out. It did not. And we are still green. And that battle that once was for 6th is now for 4th.
The 26 of Riggs also spun around again in that same turn on the same lap, and he's just now got his car back going straight into turn 2. And now that brings the battle for 8th back, is now Schaefer's going to be right back on top of Riggs, and no matter how hard you try, you just can't escape each other, it seems.
You really can as these drivers continue to race hard. We move back up front. Steinmiller once again, now less than 3/10 as he's on the back bumper of the 33 of Whitendorf, and this is the closest we've seen Steinmiller be all race long.
We're seeing a couple of different lines going into turn 1 between these two. It seems that Whitendorf has taken a much wider line, arcing it in, hitting the apex, and Steinmiller is looking for more of a direct approach, going to the inside of the racetrack, trying to hold it to the bottom, and then arcing it out on the exit. So a couple of different racing craft strategies from these two drivers. As you see in turn 2, it's happening again where Steinmiller puts it low and keeps it low, and Whitendorf tries to arc it in. And so far, it looks like that maybe Steinmiller's got the better line as he's actually making up ground. Now the battle is getting closer and closer as we approach lap 25.
We're on the gyro cam, and you can see, I mean, it is bouncy out there. This track is rough on the drivers as it continues. I mean, when we're on a wheel here in simulation mode, the wheel, if you have force feedback, every single time you are bouncing, the force feedback jerks on your hands, and you try to keep the car straight as much as possible. As right now, Steinmiller is getting right in the back bumper of Whitendorf once again. I mean, these drivers are racing on a very aggressive track at the moment.
A very aggressive track and a very aggressive mentality. This has been one of the more intense races that I've seen at Pocono in quite a long time, and I'll give credit where credit's due. Given how loose these cars are and given how tough the track is, I'm surprised that no one's run into each other yet.
I mean, we've had a couple of bumps here and there between drivers, but yeah, not someone completely blatantly spinning someone else around. It's more of someone self-spinning and then making contact or drifting up, and then both drivers saving their cars.
Indeed so. And these drivers are really, really good at figuring out tracks, and this one was a tough one, and it seems that now coming down on lap 26, they've figured it out, especially the top three who've kind of checked out from the rest of the field, and they're running their own little race. Whitendorf, Steinmiller, and Morse Jr. are running 1, 2, 3. Jeff Green and Dallas Myhand are in a battle for that fourth position. I'm sorry, that's a lap machine between them. What's going on the relative? That's a 31 of Campbell, who is a lap down at least. He's to go into the inside of Jeff Green. You can see the difference between fresh tires and old tires. He's going to make the move look easy on Jeff Green, trying to get back up to get his lap back. There is a lucky dog, so if he gets a yellow flag, he's back on the lead lap, I think. I think he's only one lap down.
Yeah, he is only car that is one lap down at the moment. Looking at other cars that are potentially could be going a lap down, that is the 5 as well as the 26. But they got a good solid about 18 seconds before they go a lap down here. They are still trying to run as hard as they can. We got the battle for the lead that is within 0.5 of one another, as Steinmiller still just gets to the back bumper but cannot figure out where to make the pass, as well as the battle for 5th place, where we've got Dallas Myhan as well trying to hold off Jay Counshell.
And Jay Counshell is got one fast race car. He's had a couple of incidences, but he is trying to run down Myhan, who I got to give credit to. He's on the oldest tires so far, and he's been able to keep somewhat pace. Even though he's got some rear end damage now, he kind of stepped out and hit the wall. I give credit to Myhan. He's been able to make this strategy kind of work for him in his way, and he's going to have one less stop to do than everyone else. Jeff Green is trying to run down nobody at the moment. He's trying to find himself in no man's land in between the 5th and the 3rd position. He's got a long way to go to get to either position. Tyler Riggs.
Jeff Green has to be kind of worried, though, as he's got the drifting Gerald Campbell in front of him. Gerald Campbell, like we said, one lap down.
The drifting Campbell, and that's if you're good at street stocks or you're good at dirt cars, and maybe this is your race. And it seems like that maybe Whitendorf might be that one of those drivers. He's been able to figure out these loose cars as we're coming down to halfway through lap 28, and so far so green.
Still green, and we still have not seen Dallas Myhan come into the pits as that 41 machine, the only driver that is not pitted and is on a total of 6 lap older tires, and that is a major thing between everyone else out here. I'm also re-looking at Gerald Campbell because with him coming into the pits now about 3 laps ago, he has to pit one more time.
He does, and I don't know if he's going to be able to maybe save some fuel at the moment. He doesn't look like he's concerned about saving fuel because he's pedal to the metal right now. His tires seem to fall off pretty quick, though, as he had an advantage. He's going to the extreme inside of the track. It looks like he's trying the IndyCar line, going to arc it in and maybe see what that does. But yeah, he's still going to pit one more time, at least once, maybe twice even. We don't really know how far these drivers can go. I think Dallas Myhan is going to be the perfect indicator of how long these drivers can go because he's the only one that's been able to stay out. So we'll have to see how far he can stretch it, and that will gauge how far these other drivers can go. But I wouldn't be surprised if Campbell not only has to pit one more time, but also has to do a bit of fuel saving if he's going to make it to the end on one stop.
And Steinmiller looks like he has finally gassed out those tires as he is no longer gaining time but losing time on our leader, the 63 of Hank Steinmiller. I mean, it was a solid push on his part. For as long as he was trying to run down the 33 machine, he just ran out of tires.
And he was trying his best, and like you said, just used up the equipment too much, and he's going to be falling back. He's still falling back. He was 3/10, and now he's almost 1 second. He is 1 second behind. And at that same juncture, it also looks like Christopher Morris, who was also within 2 seconds of these top two, now he's falling back to almost 3 seconds behind these top two. And it looks like that maybe Weitendorf was maybe playing a bit of cat and mouse, saying, yeah, you can get close to me, but I'm in saving mode right now. I'm not even running as fast as I could. And now we're seeing him not really stepping it up, but he's just, keep running his consistent race. And the other drivers will use up their stuff, and he's checking out.
Yeah, right now, based off of the lap times, we'll see when they cross the line. But this last time they went across, Christopher Morris Jr. was the fastest car out there. But as they cross the line now, that is a 6/10 difference between the 33 and the 63, and very similar times being placed down by Weitendorf and Christopher Morris Jr., who both ran a 59.7.
And it looks like that Morse is actually kind of closing in on the 63 of Steinmiller. Maybe that's going to be, it's going to be a battle for second place pretty soon. And the three cars losing ground to the leader, but it seems like the 63 has just not been able to find any speed in the late run in this race.
Yeah, the 63 machine has just ran out of pace. Even back running with drivers that are in the back, they've already spun out. Tyler Riggs is actually running faster than Hank Steinmiller at the moment, and Tyler Riggs all by himself, and a car that we've seen spin out multiple times here.
Yeah, you gotta imagine those tires have probably taken some extra wear with how much he's spinning around, because some of them, he had that initial spin and he came down, but he's had at least one more spin since the restart. So he's on older tires, and if he's been able to do that with old tires that have been more worn than these other drivers, then you gotta imagine that there's might be something more sinister going on with the 63 cars. He's about ready to fall into the clutches of Christopher Morse.
Yeah, and the car that right now is running fifth, that's Dallas Myhan. Dallas Myhan, like we have stated, has not pitted this race. He's on the older tires, I believe it's 5-lap older tires than the rest of the field, and that 41 machine is probably the third fastest car on the track at the moment, which is wild to think that a car that has been out there probably not using as much tires as everyone else is running faster than everyone else.
Yeah, it's just proven that he's maybe been able to save something somewhere that we're not sure about, or maybe he's just been able to figure out the setup and figure out how to get around this track better than everyone else. But so far, so good for the 26th. If only he hadn't had some of those spins, we might be seeing him towards the front. Speaking of towards the front, Christopher Morse has caught the 63 of Steinmiller, and the battle is on for second place.
I don't know how much of a battle it's going to be, as the pass possibly is going to be made coming into turn number 2 or turn 3, as the 3 of Christopher Morse Jr. is there on the back bumper of Steinmiller. Steinmiller in that 63 machine showing speed, but our points leader, Christopher Morse Jr., he is quick as Steinmiller almost loses it. Able to save that 63 machine is contact.
No, he gets dumped. Steinmiller into the inside guardrail, and that might be the end of the 63. He's gotten stuck on the guardrail. Tough break. He got loose and got spun off the nose of the 3 car, and now all that good run that he had is going to result in having to teleport to pit road. Horrible incident between the 3 and the 63.
Here's the one positive, though. There is a one fast repair for these drivers to utilize during this race. So Hank Steinmiller isn't completely out of it, but since he needs to teleport, he's going to be towed, which is going to be almost a 2-minute tow, where you get virtually moved from where the spot you're at to pit road, and then he'll have to be in pits making a service and using that fast repair. So this 63 machine in a rough spot could go multiple laps down, and Gerald Campbell is already past the 63, putting himself in the lucky dog position. And with how small our field is, it is not likely we're going to be seeing ourselves that too many cautions coming to the end of this thing.
No, and that one could have easily been one, and was not. It was one of the weirder ones that I've ever seen happen. He kind of just got stuck on the end of the guardrail. His car wedged in between it, couldn't back out of it, couldn't wiggle his way out. So he had to come down pit road. Had he hit the guardrail at any other point, I think he might have been able to point it in the right direction and keep going and try to salvage that incident. He got loose into turn 2. really wicked loose into turn 2 and tried to check up. He held on to it all the way through turn 2 and then came across the nose of the 3. Or I don't know, if I was a 3 car, I might have tried to back out a little bit, maybe saved your stuff and try to do it again the next lap. I don't know. I think I'd call that one a racing deal.
Yeah, it really was just a racing deal right there, as the 83 just got loose. And since everyone is so spread out, we're waiting to see when the 41 is going to come in the pits. We're going to take another replay at how this incident went down, as really there was nothing that the 63 car could have done to avoid. He got loose, the 3 car just came in, and off he went into the guardrail. And that's such an odd spot to be hit on, but there's certain parts in iRacing, if you make contact with a wall, your car will get wedged and stuck like you saw there.
Yeah, and a tough break. And that, like I said, if he was even a meter to the left or the right, it could have been.
Our first pit stop is going to be coming in. That's the 3 car of Christopher Morris Jr. is coming in.
Well, that's kind of interesting, because I thought that for sure it would have been Dallas Myhan coming down first, as he's out there on 63 lap old tires. He's gone down pit road. He's coming in. He's going to try and see if he's going to take 4 tires. I would assume he's going to take 4 tires. I don't know if he's going to be awarded any kind of penalty for that incident. I don't think he would be.
He wouldn't be awarded a penalty for that. That was a racing incident where a car was already loose, and you could try to back off, but really in that spot, it's more of, even if you slow down, the inevitability of running into that driver was there. Coming back out, it's going to be Christopher Morris Jr. coming out around 6th place. And I don't believe Eric Schaefer is going to be close enough, and isn't close enough to be taking the 6th place position, as the 3 car back underway. And I think that might be his one and only stop for the end of this race, as he's so close to the end of this thing. But we're still looking at Dallas Myhan. How long is the 41 going? 38 laps, 37, excuse me, is that marker.
So it does seem that you might be able to make it all the way to the end, although the 3 car had come down pit road earlier in the race during the first pit stop, so he had 5 lap fresher tires. So maybe this is a strategic call. Maybe he thought that, you know what, I'm all by myself. I'm going to come down while no one else is expecting me to, because no one else has come down pit road except for Myhan, who is just now coming down pit road. Like you said earlier.
Christopher Morris Jr., though, he is short pitting this one. He is trying to gain as much time on the rest of the cars in front of him as he can, and we'll see how much time he can gain here, as now the 3 got by the 41, up to 5th place now. And the question is, when will everyone else think about pitting? Because if it was me, I would try to wait until I can get to possibly lap 44 to 45 if my car can make it there.
Well, we just saw with Dallas Myhan, it is possible to make it almost halfway on a run. So some of these drivers might be taking note of that and maybe seeing if they can even get to lap 40, knowing that they have crossed the halfway threshold, pitting once, and that would be their only pit, as the 83 of Houndshell is on pit road.
Houndshell's in the pits, moving it himself down. The 83 machine has been quick all day here today, and we'll see where Houndshell comes out of the pits, as no other machines. I take that back out on track is Dallas Myhan, who still, even on fresh tires, these cars are drifting it around turn 3 as well as turn 1. It's a handful on older and fresher tires.
Yeah, these cars haven't lost any of their aggressiveness, and they're still just as loose as they are at the beginning of the race. And now here comes Jake Houndshell back on track. So the intensity level hasn't gone down any. Now you get some of these drivers to some fresh rubber. They're going to go right back to racing as aggressive as they were. They got to make up some time, and they got to see if they can maybe find it. They're on an alternate strategy. Maybe they can make that strategy work. As the field is so spaced out right now that there's a 15-second lead, and I just caught the 5 car smacking the wall in turn 2 right in front of the leader, Whitendorf.
As we just missed that, but it's okay. We get a replay of this, as it's the 5 of Eric Schaefer coming out of the corner, hits the wall, and here comes Whitendorf, as Schaefer able to correct his machine before coming up into the 33.
Yeah, the 33 car was praying that he got straight before he got caught to him, and he did get straight, and he's put the 5 a lap down now. or another lap down, I should say. I think he's.
Nope, that's his first time being
It's
lapped
his
down.
first time being a lap down, so he's only one lap down, and that's on track. That's not because of a pit stop. Although the 5 has had a couple incidences, he spun around. That just shows you just how much that'll hurt your time. And I gotta say that Steinmiller's back on track. That didn't take as long as we thought it would.
Yes, Steinmiller back on course, and yeah, no. When you're in the pits, right? When you get teleported, you got about a minute to a minute and a half, and then once you use a fast repair, it's instantly you get it, and then you can take off. So it looks like that's what Steinmiller did his service, got back out there, but he is one lap down, and the first car, the last car, that is a lap down in 9th place, really not looking like it's Steinmiller's day. The car that once was running up in 2nd.
Indeed so, and I think he's only a lap down to 2 cars right now. He's only a lap down to the 33.
It is not. It is Schaefer, Dallas Myhan, Campbell, and Houndshell, and then you've got Steinmiller. So that is 5 cars that are 1 lap down, 4 of them in front of them. So
well, yeah, what I'm saying is though, like, there's only a couple of cars that are on the lead lap relative to his position on the racetrack.
Yeah.
And because I'm looking on and I'm seeing only 2 of them that are actually got the red dots on them, and it looks like that he might be able to maybe make up some positions if he's got some catch-up break, as Tyler Riggs is coming down pit road.
Tyler Riggs going to be another one of our front runners coming into the pits, and that 26 machine comes in, and now we've got a total of 3 machines that still need to pit. I believe Gerald Campbell needs to pit one more time to make it to the end, because he pitted really early, but so far Eric Schaefer still needs to come in. Jeff Green and Whitendorf are the 3 machines that we know for sure need to pit one more time. Gerald Campbell is the one that we're questionable at, but these drivers still pushing it as far as they can as Tyler Riggs gets his service done, gets back out there 8th at the moment, and we'll see where he lies as he'll be trying to be in front of Steinmiller.
Only 2 cars on the lead lap at the moment. It's going to be Whitendorf and Green. They have yet to make their stop, though. We should see them coming down the pit road soon enough, although 33 is not indicating he's coming down pit road yet.
Not that lap, so we'll be doing another one around. Like I said, some of these drivers might be aiming for that lap 44 to 45, because then you know for sure you can make it to the end on the tires and fuel if we go green to the end.
Speaking of Green is coming down pit road.
Jeff Green, who was running 2nd at the time, coming into the pits.
And he's possibly going to get a 4-tire stop, I would assume.
All these drivers are going to be taking 4 tires for this one.
So this should take him to the end of the race. This should be his last stop of the day. And that would mean that Whitendorf would be the next and last car to pit. This should be also his last stop of the race.
All these drivers really set in a great position to finish this race off, and Whitendorf's really just waiting and, again, staying out for another lap. This 33 machine has some confidence to continue to stay out compared to everyone else decided, I'm going to short pit, try to gain time. But due to the fact of all these drivers that are short pitting and trying to gain time on the drivers in front of them as coming out of the pits is going to be Green. And had to whoa up was the 33 of Whitendorf there.
Yeah, he had to kind of get off the throttle to make sure that he didn't run into the back end of the 10. With Jeff Green pitting, that gives 2nd place back over to Christopher Morse, who we don't really know how far back he is because Whitendorf hasn't pitted yet, so we really don't know what the interval will be, although he is netly on the lead lap.
Yeah, net on the lead lap, and based on how long pit road is right now, Christopher Morse Jr., he is running slower than Whitendorf right now, which is wild to think, and he's already been out there for 8 laps.
Here comes Whitendorf.
Coming in.
He's going to come down. This will be his 2nd and possibly final stop for the leader, and it's going to be a 4-tire stop, fill it full of gas, and try to truck on to the end of the race. And You know, if he was that fast on older tires, imagine what he's going to be like on fresh tires.
He's got to be wicked fast. He's going to be probably putting down some of the fastest laps of the race. And these drivers got to be aware of that as the speed is coming. Christopher Morse Jr., though, he's got a fast car. He's running faster than the cars behind him. I think the only other machine that's running quicker might be Steinmiller, but Steinmiller is so far back that at the moment he is way too far back. Is now coming out of the pits is going to be Whitendorf, but where's Christopher Morse Jr.? He's on the front stretch and he's coming quick.
Yeah, he's just crossed the start-finish line, and he's going to be entering turn 2 momentarily. The 33 is in turn 1, not turn 2, and the 33 is now exiting turn 1. Christopher Morse in the middle of turn 1, so the battle for the lead is about 5 seconds is going to be the gap between the two of them.
And as we look back, it's that tiny little dot in the middle of the track back there. That is where the 3 of Christopher Morse Jr. is. The only issue that brings me back to my point that I was talking about, Weigendorf is going to be on so much fresher tires than the rest of the field that he's just going to be pulling away with ease, as not everyone else was not able to gain time enough on this 33.
Yeah, and that 33's got a fast car. He's definitely got the better setup on all these drivers out here. I've noticed that there's some noticeable differences between his setup just visually versus all the other ones. We've seen a lot of drivers, they've dropped the front left a lot to counteract the arc into some of these turns. He's taken less of an aggressive approach. It is bending over a little bit, but compared to some of these other drivers, it doesn't seem like it's really that low compared to, say, maybe a Jeff Green or an Eric Schaefer, which we got to give credit. Eric Schaefer is now in the 4th place position despite all of his incidences. That driver finds himself in a top 5, which is something I don't think I would have said about 10 laps ago.
Here's the thing. Schaefer is trying to make the same strategy call that he did last week. Stay out, hope for a caution, and then have fresher tires than the rest of the field. But right now, the 5 machine, he still is not pitted just yet after being out there for 40 laps.
Yeah, he's got to be getting towards the end of his run. I think these drivers can really realistically only make it to lap 45 on a run. We did see Myhan come down pit road around the 39 mark. So maybe 45, 46 at the very most.
Well, we are on lap 47. 34 laps to go here at Pocono. It's been a wild first half of these drivers with a lot of excitement, but you won't miss any of the action as we're going to take a quick commercial break with our side-by-side. But we will be right back for the Hijinx G4 Sim Racing 87 Vintage Cup Series right here at Pocono.
Since the VFW was founded, their mission was really to look out for the veterans community, to make sure that our nation upholds its promise to really care for the service member, the veteran, and his or her family. There are several ways that the VFW fights for veterans today. The top services include disability claims assistance, advocacy on Capitol Hill and with the Department of Veterans Affairs. We also offer scholarship opportunities, and then also volunteerism. For me personally, when I came back from Iraq, my life experience was drastically different from those around me, and the Veterans of Foreign Wars really spoke to me. The reason I would encourage veterans who have served overseas today to join the VFW is because this is your organization. The VFW is for veterans. Every generation, a new generation of leaders steps up in the Veterans of Foreign Wars and fights for the veterans community.
The Veterans of Foreign Wars. No one does more for veterans. For more information on the VFW, go to ahctv.com/sacrifice.
Yellow
26.
flag in the air, and it's for the 26 machine once again.
He's spun it about the same place as he spun it the last few times, outside of turn 3, the exit of turn 3. He's got that car going back the same direction, but the stewards have brought out a yellow flag for this incident. Too many incidents have been happening, and you got to think that maybe the track's got some sheet metal laying around.
Somewhere in some place, you know that John Whitendorf is furious to see that caution come out because he had this thing in the bag. But now we got to restack them up. And, Anthony, that just means we get to have some fun racing action to watch here.
Yeah, we're going to have another chaotic turn 1. And, Whitendorf had got himself about a 10-second lead before that yellow came out as they got to race it back to the line. 87 rules, you got to race it back. Now, this basically wipes out a gigantic lead that he had, and now he's got to battle not only with Christopher Morse, but now Green, Campbell, Myhan, Houndshell. They're all going to be right back up with him, and you better believe that some of these drivers are going to come down for some fresh rubber, as we are definitely going to be good to the end of the race if most of these drivers come down to pit at this juncture.
Here's the wildest thing. Hank Steinmiller is on the lead lap now. That 63 machine back in action has a chance to win this thing, and a scary driver out there for most of these guys because he's got one of the fastest cars out there. The driver that has put down the fastest lap of the day, though, that goes to the 10 machine of Jeff Green. Jeff Green now in third place, feeling hungry, as expecting all these drivers to be coming into the pits, get fresh tires, and get back out there. Eric Schaefer should be given our lucky dog here today in that 5 machine. So he'll be back on the lead lap, leaving Tyler Riggs, the only lonesome machine, 1 lap down.
Some of these drivers that I'm looking at that might be considering coming down and getting some tires at least is going to be that 3-car of Morse, because he pitted a long time ago. He tried to undercut the field, and he's got 15 laps on those tires, and another driver is going to be Campbell, who's got 27 laps on those tires. Now, some of these other drivers, maybe Whitendorf is going to roll the dice and stay out. We'll have to see, but it looks like everyone's going to come down pit road here on lap 51.
Lap 51, about to be 29 laps to go. And these drivers, we saw this earlier on after our first caution. These drivers were putting on a show for us. We're excited for the show to continue on after this these pit stops here, but who will have a clean pit stop? That's the key. Don't slide your tires, have a clean entry. And Tyler Riggs did it again, sliding, as well as Gerald Campbell slid his machine and had to back up.
That's going to hurt them on the exit. They're going to lose a lot of time and possibly a couple positions. And it looks like the 3-car might have gotten in quickest. He is having a bit of a slow stop, I got to admit. I thought that he got to his box first, but it's going to be the 33 easily with a first place exit, and it's going to be Jeff Green going from 3rd to 2nd in that 10-car.
Yeah, that pit stop for Christopher Morris Jr. was the slowest pit stop out there, as the 3 machine losing that position to the 10 car, and a rough showing for Christopher Morris's crew, is hoping to see a lot more action out there. Dallas Myhan, though, still in pit road, as well as Eric Schaefer. So I'd imagine both those drivers already had some damage they're trying to repair. And this is Dallas Myhan's strategy. As like I stated, most of these drivers, I mean, not all of the drivers have fast repairs, but most of them still have one left. And Dallas Myhan is known as the driver to save his fast repair until the very last moment.
Right, he did have a lot of rear end damage from that earlier incident where he stepped out and hit the wall, so that's what he's probably repairing it for. The 5 car also got a piece of the wall later or earlier on in the race, and he's repairing that. But yeah, that strategy of using your fast repair when you need it the most, and a little bit of damage on the back end of your car, not a problem. Under caution, definitely not going to use it, because if you end up later on in the run having something like a head-on collision with the wall and that basically takes your car to unworking condition, you can use that fast repair, get right back up with the field, and be able to go up for it. And I would imagine that if some of these drivers are aggressive, this turn 1 is going to be very chaotic.
Christopher Morris Jr., he's doing his strategy where he usually believes that this is going to be the last pit stop, so he'll be coming in here 1 lap after everyone else because he's trying to get that 1 lap extra grip compared to everyone else in the 3 machine. A brilliant call on his part. Everyone else kind of baffled by that move.
I mean, it'll give him 1 lap fresher tires, which we've proven that these tires really do fall off quite quickly. That'll give him a little bit extra advantage over some of these other drivers when it comes to that department. And maybe being off strategy, you're going to be at the back of the field. You might avoid some incidences that happen in turn 1 if drivers try to dive it in, go side by side, maybe even 3 wide. You can avoid that by being at the back.
Well, my name is Sam Dyer. This is Anthony McCurry, and I've got to say, this has been a blast to watch so far at Pocono. As the pace car lights are off, we're going to be going green on lap 54 of 80. Right now, your top 5 is John Whitendorf, Jeff Green, Gerald Campbell, Jay Counshell, and Hank Steinmiller. These drivers are all hunting to have the best finish they can. And right now, up front in our top 5, 2 drivers do not have a win this season. That's Jeff Green and Steinmiller in 2nd and 5th place. Green has been hungry. He's been wanting this win, and we'll see if he can finally get it here at Pocono. As coming out of turn number 3, we're about to go green.
Pace car will peel off at the exit of 3. Like you said, Green, hungry for a win. We're going to be going back to green on lap 54 of 80. As the pace car peels off, the field is in the hands of John Whitendorf. They're stacking up a little bit. I think we're under green now. We are green, and Whitendorf's going to get a heck of a run. Look at the 31 of Campbell stepping out. They're going to go 3 wide for the lead into turn 1.
3 wide. Some places might have been 4 wide if we saw there as Myhan tried to step it out as far as he could. But Gerald Campbell, biggest mover, went from 4th up to 2nd for the 31. Jeff Green getting a little bit squirrely out of 1. But here they come. Whitendorf still in the lead.
Whitendorf is going to be under the hounding number 31, or the 33 rather, is going to be under the 31 soon, as he's going to try and get him loose, and he gets him too loose! He's going to spin him into turn 1, and he just dumped him! That's going to bring out another yellow. We race it back. Jeff Green is into the lead.
I believe they actually will stop it, as we do not have that rule set in, but Jeff Green has the lead now, but I believe that's going to be going to Gerald Campbell as they go around, whereas we're going to take a quick replay. I mean, you saw it there live. Gerald Campbell just came in with too much speed, and contact was made.
Yeah, he just rocketed it in, tried to get underneath the rear deck lid of the 33, tried to get him a little loose. Did more than get him a little loose, actually completely shoved him into turn 2, and it ended up getting wicked loose and spinning around, and you got to feel for the 33. He was just the unfair, well, not the unfair, but the unfortunate recipient of a challenge for the lead.
We're going to take another chopper cam look at this contact. It's just coming into the corner. Campbell was not expecting Whitendorf to slow down at all entering that corner, and just ran over him. And that's just the plain and simple fact of what happened there. 31 just ran over the 33.
Yeah, gave him one heck of a push into turn 2. And, again, you got to go for the lead. It's late stage in the race. You got to make your moves. And he had the much faster car. And you're right, the 33 did back off a little bit more than I thought he would have. And that's exactly what you said. Just flat out ran him over.
As Whitendorf now going to have to figure out if he's going to use a fast repair or not here, as the drivers actually have already pitted. We'll see who comes down, who's going to be taking tires this time around, or who stays out, as we're expecting the 33 to be coming in.
That 33 car is looking kind of poorly. The rear end and the front end has got a lot of damage. I would expect to see him come down. A few other drivers opting to maybe come down. That looks like it's going to be Hank Steinmiller. He's going to come down. And the 3 is coming back down.
I'm not surprised. I mean, Christopher Morse Jr. is all about having that advantage. Steinmiller wants to be here involved as well with an advantage. But it's Whitendorf we're questioning, and we're going to be watching here. Does he take a fast repair to try to fix the 33, or does he manually repair it, as these pace laps are very long?
He might be. He's definitely going to be able to manually repair it and stay on the lead lap, and it looks like that might be what he's doing. He hasn't. It doesn't look like it's snapped back to the way it was, so I think he's manually repairing it. He's gonna come out last place regardless if he took full service. So you got nothing to lose. Save that fast repair for the end of the race. It might get you a top 5 or maybe even a win.
We're coming to the end of this race. We know the intensity level is going to climb. We've already seen it there with Gerald Campbell making contact with our former leader of John Whitendorf. And Whitendorf has been looking dominant ever since he got up the lead, but now he's going to be the back of the field with a damaged vehicle.
Yeah, and he's going to have to claw his way back up through the field, but he does have a fast machine, and I wouldn't be surprised if he carves his way through the field, and we might see him towards the front of the field at the end of the race. As we're on lap 56 of 80. Your leader is going to be Gerald Campbell, followed by Jeff Green and Jake Hounshell. That is your top 3. So, Sam, what have you thought about this race so far? It's definitely proven to be one of the more exciting races that we've done together, at least.
Yeah, I mean, these 87 machines, they always surprise me week after week on the entertainment that it shows us. I mean, through corner number 2 and 3, we've been seeing drivers racing like it's dirt track, and with cars running on the high line near the wall and others at the bottom, trying to just figure out what is the fastest line while drifting around. So it's been weird watching these drivers. As believe the 3 car, Christopher Morse Jr., he did it again, coming in another time.
And we're watching the race off of pit road to stay in front of the pace car. The 33 cut it really close. He had just now taken service and is going to just make it out before he gets lapped. And he was praying for that to get out. But yet the 3 car now coming down pit road, and maybe it might pay off. 2 stops in a row. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, and people might be questioning, if you've been watching this all season long, how is the 3 car still having enough tires to be making these type of pit stops and still be going? Well, there was a rule change where the drivers actually have unlimited tires to utilize here. So that's why we're seeing the 3 making these type of moves.
Yeah, if you've got unlimited rubber, why not come in, pit, see who does, see who doesn't, and then once you size up and see what you have going on, come down again. You got fresher rubber. You can make up an advantage. And, I kind of like that strategy. I think it's going to play out.
So, Anthony, while we're still under caution, this is our final pacing until we go green again, I know it's a silly question. I probably already know the answer, but do you see us having another caution here?
Oh, absolutely. These drivers, it's getting close to 20 laps to go. You got to take the gloves off. You got to show who's the dominant one amongst these top 9, and especially in the turn 1, we saw them go almost 3 wide for the lead. It wasn't quite 3 wide for the lead. It did go see 3 and 4 wide though, and with as loose as these cars are, even if you make a small mistake, it could end up bringing you into somebody else, and whether you intend to or not, I look for the. I'm betting we're going to have at least one more caution before the end of the race.
Well, our top 5 is shifting up just a little bit. A new person leading the way. It's Gerald Campbell. Green flag back in the air as we're coming to 23 laps to go. And Gerald Campbell made his way up to the front in a move way we didn't expect, as they're 3 wide now. That's my hand, as well as Steinmiller coming on the outside of that would be Hounshell.
Steinmiller went all the way down to the inside.
Hits the 3.
And now they're going to go around. The 3 saves it back on the racetrack and got back in the right direction. The 5 of Schaefer also gone back in the right direction. Still green here at Pocono.
Biggest change is it's so difficult for the iRacing to figure out. if it's actually a caution or not sometimes, and that time around, admins decided it is not time for a caution just yet, as now we've got a 3-car battle for the lead. Gerald Campbell, Jeff Green, and Jake Hounshell.
And these three are going on similar pace with each other. We've seen throughout the race, so they're going to be right nose to tail with each other. Jeff Green, hungry for his first win of the season of that 10 car. He's going to try and catch up to the back end of the 31, maybe make a move down into turn 1. He's got the run. Can he do anything with it as the 31 goes defensive?
Gerald Campbell now has to defend that outside line, try to get the right arc into turn number 1. And Jeff Green following suit. He's going to be trying the outside, and that might be in a little bit too high, as we also see there Steinmiller drifting and able to save that 63 machine.
Yeah, they went way into turn 1, and he was able to slide it through. Jeff Green was hoping to try and get a run outside of turn 1, did not get that. Almost got passed by Jake Hounshell, but Hounshell was not able to get the run out of turn 1, and through turn 2, Hounshell's arcing it out, trying to get a run down into turn 3.
All the other ovals, it's more of throw it into the corner and hope for the best. Here at Pocono, we've been seeing it. There are so many different lines that you can try to move. There's so many different apexes and ways you can hit these corners that it's not just about throwing it in to hope that your car sticks. It's where do I tactically put my machine to get the best run out? And I think Jeff Green might have found it. He is coming to get to that back bumper of the 31.
Jeff Green is trying this time. He's going to go to the inside this time into turn 1. Not quite there. He's got about a car length between him and the leader, Campbell. Looks like it's going to be Campbell trying to keep it on the track. He actually checks up a little bit, and so did Jeff Green. Had to check up, and that's going to bring Hounshell back up to the top 3. The battle for first still rages.
And really, Hounshell in the best position. Just wait and watch. We could see Gerald Campbell getting loose like that again, and this time he might not be able to save it, make contact with Jeff Green. Who knows, as they're still right on top of one another. We saw Gerald Campbell get pushed out of the way. Will we see Green push Gerald out of the way?
Green looked like he was going to have a go into turn 3, actually backs out of it. Now he's going to set himself up for the long run down the front straightaway. What is he going to be able to do? Can he get the run out of turn 3? It looks like he might. The speeds are similar between these drivers, but I think Campbell's got the advantage, but Green has the draft.
Campbell decided to do the IndyCar move of snaking down the front stretch, trying to break off that draft. The only issue is that Green has Hounshell behind him, trying to help him, pulling him along, and trying to utilize the draft that way.
It seems that Green and Hounshell are better in turn 1 than the leader Campbell is. And wow, as soon as I say that, Hounshell had a bit of a step out, almost hit the wall. It seems that the 31 is better in turn 2 and turn 3, the flatter of the 2 turns. And maybe he's got his car set up to be better in those places. We've seen him nearly spin in turn 1 multiple occasions, and Green almost got the wall.
Green able to keep it off the wall as he was almost completely into it. Now you might be wondering, where's John Whitendorf? Well, he's back there battling with Dallas Myhan, as Myhan is drifting around the corner, and Whitendorf back in 6th place when he was back up front until he got himself into an accident.
The 3 spun out of turn 1. Again, he's actually now coming through turn 2, but the 3 continues to have issues as he had another spin. The 5 of Eric Schaefer has gone out of this race, has chosen to retire that 5 machine, and the battle for 2nd place is heating up, and the battle for 1st almost got dumped as he almost lost it into turn 1 again.
That is Jake Hounshell able to get by Green, pushing Green back to 3rd place. And with them battling for 2nd, that's bringing in Steinmiller now in that 63, who we saw step out about 5 laps ago. He's back in this thing.
Yeah, he's not gone away yet. He's trying to count his way back up. And as this battle goes on, we take a look at a step backwards. Dallas Myhan is putting on a bit of is trying to make his car as wide as possible to stop the progress of Whitendorf and Riggs. That's a battle for 5th.
Riggs, what a comeback story for himself. He's still on the lead lap. We saw him spin out, bring out 2 of our cautions here today. That 26 machine still in 7th place, but at a possible chance of getting a top 5 finish here.
Myhan is going to be under the clutches of Whitendorf now. Is Whitendorf to the inside, going to try and make the move stick into turn 1. What can he do? They're side by side going in. Looks like that Myhan's going to launch it into turn 1. Who's going to have the advantage? The middle line is better around turn 1, and it looks like that they're still going to be side by side coming out of turn 1.
Still battling as hard as ever as these two still side by side through corner number 1. And I think Reitendorf's still there coming into corner number 2.
Weitendorf has not gone away. What is he going to do? Is he going to use the bumper? No, he's going to back out, let the 41 go through, and now he's going to set himself up for the run into turn 3. Can he make it stick going into turn 3? We're going to have to find out. Is the 33 hanging back, possibly looking for a turn 1 attack?
As these drivers are backing off just slightly as Weitendorf making that inside line work. He's closing in the gap, got a much better run out of 3, and right there on Dallas Byhand's back bumper. Also the battle for 3rd place as Steinmiller is right there. Well, we have on screen this battle here for 5th place.
Weitendorf to the inside again into turn 1. What can he do? It looks like that Myhan's been able to keep the speed as he's going to go up into him. He can't keep it down on the bottom. He can't keep speed down there without checking up. And Myhan again able to hold the position through turn 1. But Weitendorf not out of it yet. On the left quarter panel of the 41. Can he put it into turn 2? Steps out again.
Decides otherwise. Not going to risk it just yet. Going to try to set up corner number 3 again. Is Weitendorf to Dallas Myhan. Remember, this is only a battle here for 5th place. As Weitendorf got a fantastic exit through 2. Now into 3. He's running that inside line where he feels comfortable. We'll see if the 33 can make this pass finally.
He's going to have a much better run out. Actually, they're about even out of turn 3. Going out. Look at that spinner. That's the 83 that's the 83.
That is Houndshell as well as Steinmiller. Those two are battling for 3rd place. And Contact bringing out our caution here today. That is going to be our 4th caution of the day, as we're going to go back and see this action that was going on for 3rd place, and it happened all out of 3.
Well, you got to think that it might have been some contact. I wouldn't imagine that it would be anything other than that.
Ooh, Houndshell overcorrected, came back up, and Steinmiller a victim to the 83's contact. And, man, that is a hard lick for the 83. A little bit of contact for the 63.
Man, you can't drive it that hard. And he tried to save it. You really thought he was trying to keep it off of him, but just couldn't. And as he fishtailed around and came up in, and you're racing hard, you got to make some aggressive moves. But looks like that maybe the 63 of Steinmiller got out of that pretty okay.
Yeah, it was just a little bit of contact that he got on his quarter panel. Didn't hit the wall. It was Houndshell that hit the wall and also made contact with the 63. So I think Houndshell might have he did get the worst of it. As we saw there on the replay, that car is crinkled up on the right side.
He's going to definitely have to come down and get a fast repair, I would think. It's at that point of the race now that you're looking at possibly trying to keep it going. And if you got a fast repair, use it now, because we are within 15 laps to go. It's crunch time for these drivers, and you can't be spending too much time on pit road and risk going a lap down depending on how long it takes you to repair damage.
Come on, Anthony. You can't be yawning about this. I know it's late, but these drivers are making this thing exciting for us to watch at least.
That was not a yawn. I can assure you of that. That was me trying to hold in a cough. It's been a rough week for a lot of the FRN boys, and we seems like sickness has gone through the entire league or the entire channel. We've been trying to do our best, and I was, again, it made it sound like, I am excited. I am waiting for the end of this race. It's going to be super packed down to the end of the race. And Campbell, your leader, still your leader. Green, still 2nd place, trying to make up that position. See if he can do it when we come to the restart. The question is, are we going to see any of these drivers come down pit road?
We know the 3 is at least, but who else? I'm imagining probably the whole entire field will be coming in, because if you stay out, you're at such a disadvantage compared to everyone else, and that's what we're seeing. Everyone aiming like they're coming in, and no fakers. No,
it looks like everyone committed to what they were doing, and Campbell's going to be the first one to try and get out first. And if he can get back out in the first place position, I would dare bet to say that he's going to walk away with this, because he does have a really fast car, and it doesn't seem like anyone has anything for him outside of possibly Weitendorf. If he can get back up within the 3rd place position, everything should be pretty set in stone, I would think.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen Gerald Campbell's crew be quick on that first pit stop. He was the fastest pit stop out there, got out helping the 31 be at front. As of another fantastic pit stop for the 31 machine. Weitendorf 2nd. Ooh, a great pit stop by the 33 machine.
That was a wicked fast stop, a 21.2 he was able to get out, and he's going to leapfrog his way up to the second place position. Now it's a battle for the lead as Whitendorf has proven to have one of the fastest cars all night long, looking to get back into the lead. A couple drivers that didn't have some great stops were Jeff Green, who came down pit road second, now comes out in sixth place, so he's going to have to claw his way back up through the field if he's going to try to have a chance at this win.
As well as Jake Houndshell still in the pits, trying to get those repairs from this caution that just came out for himself, and will be getting back out there. Christopher Morris Jr. back in 7th place. We've seen him have a couple of spins here. That 3 machine has had a wild day today and is going to continue to be pushing it forward and have the best run that he can. Now, here's something that we haven't really talked much about. It's the drivers that have already used fast repairs here. And Steinmiller, he's someone that we've already seen use a fast repair. That 63 machine, luckily, got scathed with not too much of a contact on that last accident, as that could have ruined his day.
It definitely could have ruined his day, and you know and he's got to be lucky that it didn't come down into the wall as hard as it could have, and he's back into this fight. With the lights are out on the pace car, we're going to be going to green next time by. One driver back there, the 83 of Houndshell, is still trying to catch up to the tail end of the field.
He was in the pits for much longer than the rest of the field, as well as Christopher Morse Jr. doing a strategy we've seen him do on every pit stop so far, and that's coming in right on that one to go. Yes, he'll be starting at the back of the field, but at least he'll have that one extra tires to work with. But here's the thing. He was not able to move up through the field on that last restart. He spun out multiple times. This might be a risky call for the 3 to be doing what he's doing this time around.
At the beginning, I thought it would be a good idea. He did make his way through the field in the last couple of times he did it, but that last one was definitely a struggle for him. So I agreed with it earlier, but now at this stage of the race, I don't think that it was the right call. I think he should have gone for track position, as it seems that track position is the king of tonight's race. And we're coming down to we're on the final pace lap before we go to green. We'll be going to green on lap 69 of 80, which will give us 12 laps to go. The leaders, Campbell, went in first, came out first. John Whitendorf back in second place after having a spin or getting punted into turn 2. He's back here in the lead. Back behind him is going to be Hank Steinmiller in the 63. That is your top 3. It's getting down to crunch time, Sam. What are you predicting for these last few laps?
I'm predicting someone up front's going to get loose and is going to cause us have another caution, or at least take out a couple of other machines, as the aggression level is going to increase. The pace car is off. 69 laps have been ran out of 80 and given us 12 laps to go. Whitendorf trying to figure out where he's going to place himself, as also the 41 of Dallas Myhand coming up.
Dallas Myhand's got to be the Cinderella story of the day. He had an incident early in the race, went all the way 1 lap down, had to claw his way back through the field. Now he's in 4th. These drivers are getting all sorts of loose at turn 1. It's going to take a little bit before these cars are back up to race pace, and the 33 is kind of going to fall into the clutches of the 63. Are we going to see a move down to turn 2? Maybe not in the top 3, but back here, look at Riggs. He's going to try and maybe make a move on Myhand going into turn 3.
Cinderella story might be gone to the wrong person. Tyler Riggs has brought out 2 of our 4 cautions today and has been in multiple spins, somehow in the top 5 on the lead lap.
You can pull a lot of Cinderella stories really from a lot of these drivers, because there's a lot of them that have had incidences. But yeah, definitely those 2 drivers. Now here comes Riggs trying to put it to the inside of Myhand. He's got the position. He's going to try and get it cleared before the first turn up at the front. Speaking of the first turn, we got a battle for the lead. Whitendorf and Campbell side by side going to turn 1.
We saw contact between these drivers that brought out our 3rd caution of the day. We will have to wait and see. It was corner number 2 when they made this contact, as here comes Steinmiller pushing the 33 through corner number 1.
Now that was the kind of push that the 33 wanted.
The back Green makes contact with Houndshell, and Green into the wall in the back, not bringing out a caution. Still 11 laps to go, and Whitendorf in the lead.
We are still green, as you mentioned, but Jeff Green was trying to have a good run tonight. Ended up getting checked up and tried to save and got into the wall. That car's back going the same direction, but barring another caution, it looks like his first win might have eluded him again tonight. The 33 is being hounded by Campbell, who, despite having one of the loosest cars on the racetrack, is still keeping pace with the 33. They're going to try and run it in the back there. It looks like the 41 got the wall.
That's another driver that had a possible chance of getting their first win of the day in the back. Now spun out, no caution, 10 laps to go, and back up front. Gerald Campbell back on the back bumpers, caution flag now thrown.
And that caution is for the 10 car who had to slow down to avoid the 41. So that brings out our yellow flag, and 71 of 80 to go. We're going to get the green with, I think on lap 74. It's going to put us with 6 to go. You got to think now it becomes, do I pit for tires or do I gain track position? Because it seems to me that track position is more valuable.
This is our final pit stop for these guys. You are making, if you have a fast repair, you use it now, because at this point, if you have a caution within the final, believe 4 to 3 laps, this race is going to be done and finishing under caution. As we see here, the replay, Dallas Myhan and Christopher Morris Jr. side by side coming out of 3, and Morris Jr., he didn't mean to, but there was a little bit of contact that launched the 41 into the outside wall. That was the cause of our 5th caution of the day.
Man, you got to feel bad for him. He was trying to have a good run, and, getting racy. It's crunch time. You can't back off, and you saw an incident where, it was a little tiny checkup, and it caused a big spin, and the green flag was still out, but when the 10 car at Jeff Green came up onto that incident, he kind of didn't have time to get back going, and the stewards said that, yep, we're going to put it under yellow, and that bunches the field back up. Now we're going to see another run down to turn 1, and we've seen a lot of these drivers trying to jump the start, trying to see if they can gain an advantage. You can't really pass before you get to the line, but we've seen a lot of drivers be really close and be right alongside somebody at the line, making it legal.
Yeah, the master of making passes here on restarts, Blaine Atkin, 3rd in points, did not make today's race. And even with drop race that have been implemented from last week for the whole entire season, if you have a bad race, you can drop it. Blaine Atkins, with missing another race, I think his chances for a championship run might be over for the 0-5 machine, who, like we said, did not make today's race. Other drivers that are running well, I mean, the 3 machine of Christopher Morris Jr., our points leader, as well as we have Jake Hounshell, 2nd in points. Both these drivers looking for solid days. Weindorf staying out.
Well, that's interesting. You see, I actually kind of expected that. Weindorf has shown that he's got pace on older tires, so he might be looking for stability over top speed. The fresher tires will give you faster top speed at the expense of your car being a little bit looser, and once those tires get broken in, they become a little bit more stable and more predictable. I think he's going for predictability over just top speed.
Tyler Riggs, Hounshell all overshot their pits, had to bring it back. And I don't think Tyler Riggs has ever figured out this pit stall. I think every single time he has overshot it in some fashion and has had to back up. That has been the struggle of the 26, besides all the times that he has spun around on track. Gerald Campbell back out and is going to be the first car out of the pits, with Steinmiller coming out following him. Tyler Riggs, Hounshell Green, Dallas Myhan is still in the pits getting repairs done for that 41 machine, making it possibly look like that he has already used a fast repair possibly for the 41.
Yeah, that's a shame. I thought he didn't. I didn't think he used it earlier, but I guess he did. And now crunch time, he's gonna have to wait on it, and hopefully he can get back on the track before the pace car comes up around and puts him a lap down. I think he will, though. These laps are really long, especially under pacing. He possibly will get back on the racetrack. Now, I'm interested to see if the 3 is going to use his normal strategy of pit on the last lap. He's got 2nd place. He's got fresh tires. He's got relatively fresh tires. He's got tires that are comparable to the leader. You've got track position. I don't think the points leader should pit at this stage in the race.
I don't think so either. I think you're better off staying out there, keeping in your position. Here's the thing. These drivers, they've got, like I said, lap 4 is the marker. 4 laps to go. If there is a caution that comes out, this race could possibly end under caution. There are no overtimes, no green-white checkers. these drivers, if caution comes up at the end of this race, it could end under yellow.
And some of these drivers definitely don't want it to end of the yellow. Some of them do, and I think that one of them would be the 33, the leader. I think he's kind of hoping this race ends under yellow because he's going to have a hornet's nest of drivers behind him looking to jump him on the start. And some of these hungry drivers are going to be trying to steal the win away. So, maybe he's praying for a yellow to come out. Yeah, you guys behind me, you guys can wreck all you want as long as I win the race. That's all that matters. And you got to think that a lot of these, that's in the back of these drivers' minds.
John Whitendorf, 6th in points, only has 1 win this season, and that was back in Talladega, trying to get his 2nd win possibly here. Pace car lights are off. When we go green, it's going to be 70. It's going to be lap 75 of 80, bringing us 6 laps to go. And then you kind of got a 3-lap shootout, and if a caution comes out after those 3 laps, you better hope that you're up front.
Yeah, exactly. And we're going to come down with 6 laps to go. As you mentioned, we are in crunch time. Your leader is the 33 of John Whitendorf. The 3 of Christopher Morse Jr. is going to be running second, your points leader, and the 31 of Gerald Campbell is going to be in the 3rd position. 4th and 5th are going to be Steinmiller and Riggs. The rest of the field is Houndshell, Green, and Myhan. The drivers that are out of the race are going to be Schaefer, Koking, and Hollifield, who never took the start of the race. Pace car will come off. Sam, we're getting close to crunch time.
Here we go. We've had 5 cautions. It's been a long one. It's been exciting. It's been fun. Who will be making the move here as the pace car rolls off? Half the field have already won here this season. The other half still looking for their first win of the season. Green flag back out in the air. Whitendorf being pushed by the 3, and Gerald Campbell making some moves on the inside with Steinmiller following suit.
Steinmiller may be trying to think about maybe going to the inside. Is it going to fan out? It's going to be 3 wide for the lead. He's going to push it in, try to make it stick to 33.
Still 3 wide.
Campbell is going to get the lead.
Campbell with a fantastic start from 3rd to 1st in one corner as there were 3 wide there for all of corner number 1. Now it's side-by-side action for 2nd. Whitendorf under fire by Steinmiller.
Here comes Whitendorf. He's going to try and get it to the inside. He's going to hold that line on the inside. I'm sorry, that's Steinmiller going to the inside. Whitendorf's going to fall into the clutch.
Tyler Riggs goes around. Green, as well as I believe that was Myhan collecting that caution, is out. And I think we have enough time for an in-race green-white checkered.
This is not the battle for the end of the race.
Oh, no, Green is upside down.
And he's out. Green, well, he's gone to the pit road. He's had to teleport to pit road. I think that might be his day done unless he's got a fast repair and might be able to get back out. But even at that point, I think he would go a lap down. The Campbell, from 3rd to 1st in the span of 1 lap, is now going to be your leader with Steinmiller and now Whitendorf in 3rd place. And as you said, it's going to be a green-white checker or possibly a 1-lap shootout to end this race.
And you saw there, Green slamming it on the brakes. And that's what flipped his car over. That all started. The catalyst was around Tyler Riggs and Houndshell making some contact, entering turn number 2. And that contact is what brought out Tyler Rigsby spinning around, overcorrects, and comes flying up into Myhan and also Jeff Green.
Man, again, he got loose and tried to save it. And, he's racing hard. These cars have been loose all night, and that's a product of them being loose and aggressive. And that flip by Green is something else. He just got caught in the grass, and how much you can do after that. And that's
There's Green, he hits the grass, hits the brake, and then flips it over. These 87 cars love to flip over, but that was probably one of the I'm going over moves.
That was one of the slowest. That was one of the fastest / slowest flips I've ever seen in my commentating career. That is something special. And man, you feel bad for Green, but you gotta admit that was unique.
As the drivers are figuring out when they're going to be coming in, staying out, it's going to be 4 machines. Gerald Campbell, Steinmiller, Morris, and also Whitendorf making a move up. And Houndshell staying. Whoa. Only 3 cars coming to the pits, and that's going to be the machines involved in the accident. Jeff Green decided it's time to just park the 10 machine as his day is done, finishing 8th. Tyler Riggs, Dallas Myhan, all in. And Myhan might have been smart on saving that fast repair if he still has it.
Yeah, and that was definitely smart on his part, as you said. And I don't know, it doesn't seem like he's using it. If he does, I think he might have used it earlier on in the race, and he's got to wait again, which is going to put him back in the 7th place position. There's a lot of these drivers that stayed out. You got to think that this is now a battle of got to defend on the start of the races. Seems that turn 1 is going to decide this race. If another incident happens, how aggressive do you think they're going to be, knowing that if there's another yellow, that ends the race? You think that maybe this next lap is actually going to be the net final lap?
Yeah, no, this lap right here, when we hit the green, it is all about being up front at the end of this thing, because it is only be up front as soon as possible. If a car spins out, it spins out, but I need to get my car up front before a caution comes out or until I see that checkered flag.
We're going to have 2 laps to go when we go back to green, barring the pace car staying out. Again, the 41 is still on pit road. Riggs just retired.
He's done. Riggs is parking it. That's 26 machine. Oh, actually, he's back. I think that was just a little bit of a hiccup on our end, where he is having some internet issues. But Tyler Riggs in the pits trying to figure out if he wants to race and finish this race out or not, if he can get that damage repaired. Dallas Myhan able to get that car fixed as the pace car is coming across the line. The lights should go off this time as Dallas Myhan able to stay on the lead lap and should be 6th place as he takes the green.
Tyler Riggs was going into turn 3 the last time that we saw him blinking in and out, so there's definitely some internet issues on the 26 team, and you hate to see that take somebody out of the races. Now he's actually, I think he's fallen out of the session, and now he is scored into the 7th place position, so tough break for the 26 team. It wasn't anything mechanical this time, it was connection that did him in.
I think, honestly, for the 26 machine, they were excited to see that the day is finally over. It has been a rough one here at Pocono for Tyler Riggs. We've seen him bring out multiple cautions here today, and it just seemed like he never truly got this track under himself, as we've seen for some of these front runners. I don't even think they've really fully figured out this track, as it has been loose, it has been slick, and it's been hard to handle, but somehow Gerald Campbell is in the lead, Steinmiller 2nd, Whitendorf 3rd, Christopher Morris Jr. 4th, and Jake Hounshell 5th. Dallas Myhan trying to catch up to this field and does now in the 41. Pace car lights are off. We're set for an in-race green-white checkered here. Anthony, who do you got?
I don't know. We've seen the struggles that these drivers have had getting loose in the turns, and no one has had more problems without having a major thing happen to him than Jared Campbell. He's the leader of the race, although I don't think I would pick him for this win, because he's basically a sitting duck to these drivers behind him. I think Whitendorf's going to have something for these drivers, and I'm going to pick him for the end of the race. We've seen his dominance. I expect to see him in victory lane.
Right now, Steinmiller and Myhan, the only drivers that have not won this season, and that's kind of been the storyline coming into this race. Who's going to break the curse of not having a win so far? Pace car is off. Gerald Campbell leading the way as an in-race green-white checkered. 2 laps to go. Gerald Campbell leads the way. Who's going to be making the move into turn number 1, as it looks like it's the 3 getting under the 33?
Steinmiller's going to try and get a run down to take the lead. He's going to make the pass before turn 1.
His shield. Oh, no. Houndshell and Myhan making contact as they come. Oh, my goodness. Houndshell flipping over. Oh, my goodness. That 83 machine completely destroyed, but we still yellow flag out. Gerald Campbell, I think he might have been in the lead.
Campbell, I think, was in the lead. We're not racing back to the line. And I think that it is going to be Campbell taking this win, as he barely had the lead if he did.
Gerald Campbell, after seeing Houndshell and Myhan make contact, that's it. I mean, we are finishing this race under yellow. Gerald Campbell in the 31 machine gets his, I believe, his 2nd win of the season, which should have been his 3rd. But if you remember back in Darlington, Gerald Campbell kind of did a Mark Martin and pulled into the pits when they were going to finish under caution, when he thought there was a possible chance of a green-white checkered. But so far, this should be Gerald Campbell's second win of the season for the 31 machine. And this is going to help him possibly put himself in the top 10 of points. But man, Anthony, all right, that's a wild way to finish this race off.
A flipping car in turn one definitely is a very intense way to end a race. And got to give credit to Jared Campbell, who was able to hold the lead into turn one when the yellow came out. It actually was the exit of turn one when the yellow came out. So he was able to do it. The yellow flag, I don't know where the pace car is. I don't think it's quite come out on the track. These drivers kind of running around at pseudo race pace. It's going to be Campbell with the win. If he can make it to the line, fabulous run. Despite all of his problems that he had with the loose car in practice and in the race, he's going to come out on top.
Gerald Campbell in the 31 machine, we saw him drifting it all over the place, but when it mattered the most, the 31 machine was up front. When the caution came out, Gerald Campbell gets the win here at Pocono.
And a storied win as well. He had his ups and downs, wasn't dominating at all this race, came up with about 20 laps to go and never looked back. It is now the winner here at Pocono.
I mean, it's still Steinmiller. It's just so close to getting the win here, as he was side by side with the 31 machine before the yellow came out. It was just Gerald Campbell inching his nose ahead and getting the win here. And Christopher Morse Jr. still helping his points out with another podium finish in third place. But all the credit goes to the 31 machine, who we saw his ups, we saw his downs. And man, what a great race overall. I mean, Anthony, Pocono has served us again. Usually it's strategy, but this time, late drama.
Yeah, super drama. This was a strategy race from start to finish. Don't us get us wrong. It was never not a strategy race, but there was also a lot of on-track battling that occurred. The field never really got too spread apart from each other. There were some yellows that came out that bunched the field back together, but a overall super clean race by a lot of these drivers. And the best out of all of them today is going to be Jared Campbell, as he comes to the start-finish straight once again as the winner here tonight at Pocono. He's going to burn it down for the fans.
Gets to burn it down on these 87 machines. There's so much power in them that the drivers have actually had to try to figure out how to burn it down properly, or it would launch off. And Gerald Campbell, after his second win of the season, he's figured out how to burn it down.
He's got to be loving his second win of the season. He's got to be feeling good about this one. He got it on strategy, and he got it on overall pace at the very end of the race to keep it up front. That Back to the Future car looking superb tonight.
And here is your final results. We only had 10 cars that made the green here today. Randy Koken taken out early down in 10th place, but really our top 5, a lot of cars that had a lot of issues. I think every single driver had some type of really a spin or contact with someone or the wall at some point. It was really a struggle for everyone out there.
It was. This was one of the toughest tracks, and it's one of the toughest track and car combinations you can get. The pre-repaved circuit of Pocono, plus cars that are, number one, super powerful, and number two, not a whole lot of aerodynamics involved. These are basically like driving big metal bricks that goes really fast, and they were able to make it through this race. And best of the rest is again Campbell, and he just proves how good these drivers are. They were able to keep these cars going straight pretty much the entire race. A couple of drivers had more than one incident of self-spinning, and especially I believe Riggs out of turn 3 specifically having a lot of problems tonight with getting power down and spinning it. But got to give credit where credit's due. All these drivers did a pretty fantastic job of managing these tough machines.
Well, we are not going to be able to have an interview with our third place runner, Christopher Morse Jr., as he has to take off, but we will be getting a conversation here with our top 2 as we're going to be moving in Hank Steinmiller into the booth. Hank, it's Sam and Anthony. You got us?
Yeah, I got you.
That was a wild ride from our point of view, but it must have been even crazier in your hands. It was bumpy and loose. How was that race for you?
It was everywhere. I thought we were one of the faster ones, and then obviously we got put behind there early, but they are slick. and it's tough in the middle of shifts and everything to keep a hold of it, but it's fun to go around there.
Now, I know it was a smaller field than what we were expecting to see, but still, the racing action was intense from top to bottom. Was there a certain moment that you were kind of just like, I don't know if I'm going to make it here to the end of this race?
I thought we weren't going to get a caution there around, what was it, lap 50? I think we got a caution. I did not think we were going to get another caution, and I thought I was done then. I was running out on that right front when it got past about 25 laps, so I was also short on fuel for that. I think everyone else would have been good, so I would have definitely been 2 or 3 laps down.
The strategy for today's race seemed that it was going to favor tires over fuel. The tire wear, as you just said, seemed like it was pretty bad out there tonight. Do you think that fresher tires had a definite advantage over slightly worn-in tires, or do you think that maybe the worn tires that with a little bit more stability was the right way to go later on in the race?
Fresher tires they were going to give you 2 or 3 seconds in those first 2 or 3 laps. So someone could have stayed out and probably kept ground, but they would have been 3 seconds behind just from that default. But once you got those worn in a couple laps, probably about 3 or 4, the fall off really wasn't that bad for the next 20 to 25. And then I don't know if it was the line I was taking or what, but mine fell off a cliff right after that. So I was good anywhere up to 25 laps. I was confident that I could finish in the top 2 or 3 there.
No, Hank, this puts you in it helps you points wise, but I know we're coming closer and closer to the end of this season. I know next week we're going to Michigan. How are you feeling about next week?
I feel good. We showed speed. We just can't close them out. I thought this was going to be the one we could close out. Got to the outside of Gerald there. I didn't know the caution was going to come out there. I thought we had it right there probably. Michigan seems to be all right for us, though. I'm confident for there.
Well, Hank, before we let you go, we're going to hand the floor over to you for any shout-outs.
Yeah, thank you guys for putting the broadcast on. Thank Chris for the league, and shout out to my sponsor, Juicebox Pod. Go follow them on Twitter at the Juicebox Pod and Instagram. Go listen to their podcast on all of your podcast platforms there too.
Well, Hank, we're hoping that to talk to you next week. We're rooting for you to get your first win of the season because we know you've been quick all season long. But have a great rest of your night.
You too. Thank you, guys.
Man, we gotta say, Hank Steinmiller, a great race on his hand, but like he said, just came up a little bit short. But this man didn't. Gerald, it's Sam and Anthony up in the booth. You got us?
Yes, sir, I do.
Another win onto your belt there. I mean, it's been a pretty solid season for yourself. How was that race for you, though? Because it seemed like you were all over the place.
I don't think I ever had a handle for the track. I don't think at one point in time I felt very comfortable with my car or the track. I think I got it sideways more than anybody, but drifted my way on to the victory lane. I guess the restarts were definitely key to the end of there with having just strong restarts and being able to defend and to be able to get a run before you got into the turn. So, I'll take those. Definitely was probably not nearly fast enough to beat some of those guys on the long run, but came down to short runs at the end, and that was just what we needed.
Yeah, I mean, you had an in-race green-white checker to finish this thing off. But, man, I got to say, it was very entertaining for us to watch. But, I mean, how hectic was that last restart, knowing that you had to be in front of everyone else just in case that caution came out?
Well, considering the restart before, I went from third to first before I even entered the turn. I knew that it wasn't just the guy behind me I had to look after. It was the car behind him and the car behind him. You had to really judge to where they were going to be. And it's so hard because the rules are you can actually get underneath somebody before the checker flag line. And it all is started on green. You have to go on green. So you're kind of limited to what you could do as a leader other than what I did, which was take the middle line, and then as soon as I could see someone about to make a move, was to duck in front of them and try to take their momentum away. I mean, that was about as much as a leader could possibly do, and I did enough. I guess just enough until that caution came out to end it there. But would like to see what the end of that race would have been with just a handful of laps with some of them.
It was going to be chaotic for sure. I mean, we saw all night long that these cars were super on edge, including, of course, yours. This track combo seems that these cars are super fast. This track is really long. And a lot of people attest to this track being kind of like a short track or a road course, except a road course that you make left turns only. Next week, though, we're going to Michigan, which is a very fast track, very high banked 2 mile circuit. Do you think that you're going to have some of the same run that you had tonight, or you're looking forward to next week?
The few times I've had some time on that track at Michigan, that is a sneaker race as to being one of the most exciting types of track, because this car and that kind of style track and that wide of a track, these things get such a big draft on that Michigan track that you're going to see people literally sideways going all the way up to the top of the track and then gassing it, and it's going to look like a dirt race at 200 miles per hour. Michigan is a fun track with these cars. A little bit more control chaos than it was tonight. Tonight, I didn't know. I didn't know. I didn't know. I think that's the answer to that. I went back almost a lap down at one point in time, and luckily the caution saved me. But at Michigan, I can't wait, because it is an exciting and fun track with these cars. So great combination for that, and I can't wait to see what I can do there. I'm not really in it for the points. I'm just here to collect wins and have fun and enjoy these 87 cars that iRacing put out, and get to go back and rewatch some of these broadcasted event with you guys that you guys do so well.
Yeah, I mean, Gerald, you put on a show for us certainly here today. I mean, I know you're saying next week looks like a dirt track. There were moments during this race I thought we were watching a dirt track, but before we let you go, we're going to hand off the floor to you for any shout-outs.
Yeah, I'd like to thank PRM. That's our team with me and Riggs. Riggs didn't have the best of nights, but he didn't really have much time on the track to really get it going as well. So I feel really bad for him, because I at least had 30 or 40 minutes to practice to try to figure this out. He just went straight into it. But I'd like to thank VFW, which is Veterans of Foreign Wars. Always like to have them. For these series, I like to run fun themed cars. I don't really go for much sponsorship. So I got Back to the Future. I don't know who I'm going to thank, but Marty, I guess. But thank you guys, and thanks GeForce for having a fun and enticing racing series that he brings. Even though the car counts are low, it almost always seems that we always bring the excitement to some point. Luckily, it was at the end of the race to have an exciting race for you guys and for anyone that's watching. So look forward to going to next week, add some more wins to the column, have a little bit more fun, and see if I can talk to you guys again.
We hope for that as well, Gerald. Have fun celebrating today's win, and we hope to speak to you next week.
Appreciate it, guys. Thank you very much.
And that's Gerald Campbell getting today's win. Anthony, as we're wrapping this thing up, what were some of your final thoughts on the race?
Cars that are powerful and a track that is ever-changing produces some intense racing. These cars, I've said it once, I've said it twice, I'll say it again, super powerful cars, super technical track. We saw one of the greatest shows on asphalt that we've ever seen, and I am excited for what the future of G-Force holds, and Michigan next week is going to look to be another one of those races where, these cars, like he said, like Campbell said, you can slide through the turns at Michigan as well, and it's going to be more controlled chaos. So take tonight, imagine what these drivers can do if they're not fighting the car so much. That's kind of what we're going to see for next week. And Sam, this has been one heck of a race.
Yeah, I mean, this was a blast of a race to watch. Like I told Gerald, I mean, this has been practically a little snippet of what we might be seeing next week, with these cars drifting all over the place and making it look like dirt tracking on asphalt. But these drivers, they've got 6 more races left in this season. Points wise, it's looking like Christopher Morris Jr. might be running away with this thing. But with 6 races left, there's still time to see Jake Hounshell, Dallas Myhan, or even Blaine Atkin make a final push there to possibly run down the 3 machine. But man, it was a blast to watch these drivers here today. I know they weren't expecting that much of a great race, but it really showed off. The more that this race moved on, the more excitement came to us. But Anthony, thank you again for being in the booth with me here today.
Thank you, Sam, for allowing me to be with you tonight. And I don't normally get to do the 87 series on Tuesday nights, but there was a slot that opened up, and I got to come on and be with you guys tonight. And I enjoyed this race a lot. And like you said, a lot of these drivers were thinking that tonight wasn't going to be that good. I think tonight was overwhelmingly positive. It was nonstop action from start to finish, and I'm looking forward to next week.
Yeah, another week of the 87 series and another week where the Hijinx Clothing G4 Sim Racing 87 Vintage Cup Series shows off again as these guys continuously, week after week, put on probably the best show of the week. And I'm always excited to watch these guys drive. But for FRN, the racing continues. As for tomorrow, I know we were supposed to have Ascor's doubleheader at Iowa last week. Well, that got postponed, and now it's going to be tomorrow. Doubleheader at Iowa. You've got some of the top-tier racers on the sim racing, and honestly, these guys are some of the best guys to watch. That is going to be at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's the time to watch those guys put on a show at Iowa. But for tonight, Pocono's over. Gerald Campbell got the win. For myself, Sam Dyer, and for Anthony McCurry, thank you for watching another presentation of the Flatout Racing Network, and have a great rest of your night.